Alright, what's going on, everybody? Today we're going to be talking about Joe Rogan because he's currently being canceled on Twitter along with Joey Diaz. Apparently he made some very serious and controversial comments on his podcast, I believe with Bill Burr, who is one of the funniest comedians alive. And it's pretty bad, right? I mean, it had to have been bad for him to be canceled because Twitter would never just cancel somebody for something completely stupid and just that doesn't even really merit any sort of real public outrage. They would never do anything like that. It's not like this opinion isn't held by a very good chunk of the population or whatnot. And I mean, we're not allowed to have different opinions anymore, right? If you go against the status quo in pretty much any way. People on Twitter who have literally nothing better to do than to just sit around and act like vultures and wait for those moments will just come out of the woodworks and just try and tear you apart. It's been pretty well documented at this point. Most of the time when we've been talking about a situation like this, it's been a company over something stupid, but we're finally kind of getting an individual here with Joe Rogan. So you might be wondering, like, what did he say that has people so upset, Optimus? Well, essentially, he shared the opinion on his podcast that wearing masks in public is stupid, and he doesn't want to do it, and he thinks that people shouldn't do it. Which, while I don't necessarily agree with the opinion all too well, I can understand why he holds that opinion, okay? Because a lot of people just simply don't like wearing the mask. I mean, I've worn the mask out in public for hours at a time. I don't think it's too big of a deal, really. I mean, I don't think it's really a problem when it comes down to it. It's a slight inconvenience at most. A lot of people say it's hard to breathe in and whatnot. I didn't find it hard to breathe in. Then again, it wasn't like I was at work or doing anything crazy. But that's pretty much what Joe Rogan said, and it got a lot of people kind of worked up. And first and foremost, I want to just share Bill Burr's reaction because I think it says it way too well here. I mean, he just says it better than I really could, I think.
You want people to walk down the street with a mask on?
Let's not start this, Joe.
Do you, though?
Let's not start this. Okay.
Let's start it.
I don't want to start this bullshit. I'm not going to sit here with no medical degree, listening to you with no medical degree, with an American flag behind you, smoking a cigar, acting like we know what's up better than the CDC. All I do is I watch the news once every 2 weeks. I'm like, mask or no mask? Still mask? All right, mask. That's all I give a fuck about.
I mean, I think Bill Burr is completely right in this, right? I mean, Joe Rogan, whatever you want to say about him, okay? I think his podcast is pretty entertaining most of the time. He's not really qualified to say that a mask is not worth wearing, okay? He's not a medical professional. Bill Burr's not a medical professional. And at the end of the day, 99% of us aren't medical professionals. So even though we kind of have like our own personal belief on it or whatever, we probably don't know better than the medical professionals fighting the virus every single day. Which, yeah, I mean, I understand that and I agree with that. And once again, I don't really find the mask to be that big of a hassle. But I somewhat respect Joe Rogan's right to have that opinion, even if I think, for the most part, he's pretty much wrong. I believe he's allowed to have that opinion. Now, people lost their fucking marbles over this, and they kind of want Joe Rogan canceled, okay? Because that's how Twitter handles everything. If you have a difference of opinion, you're canceled. If you say something 9 years ago and it gets brought back up, you're canceled. If you make a joke, you're canceled. That's just how it goes over there, man. I keep telling people it's such a toxic website. But there's a couple tweets I think that really signify this entire Joe Rogan thing pretty well, okay? So first we have here, people are going to die because Joe Rogan and Donald Trump think masks are stupid. And to that, I'm going to have to say no. People are not going to die because Joe Rogan and Donald Trump think masks are stupid. People are going to potentially die because they qualify the opinions of non-medical professionals more than they do of medical professionals, and they get the virus, and they're most likely, like, immunocompromised or something. I mean, it's not going to be just like, they hear Joe Rogan say he doesn't want to wear a mask and then instantaneously they fall over dead from COVID. That's not how this works. And at the end of the day, I just got to say, if you're looking up to like a social media celebrity or a podcast host or me for your medical advice when it comes down to whether or not you should wear a mask, you've pretty much already fucking failed. Like, I don't know why people only pay attention to what celebrities or people that they really like on the internet have to say. I mean, if you want to know whether or not to be wearing a mask, you need to be paying attention to the medical professionals. I have no clue. I'm not out there fucking facing COVID every single day. I mean, for all I know, if I were in that position, I'd be like, okay, I think we're all good. 4 weeks later, there's a big outbreak or something. I have no idea what I'm doing. And at the end of the day, my videos are just the fucking opinion of a 20-year-old in Ohio. And that's kind of how it is with Joe Rogan, but just on a different level. I mean, it's just it's the opinion of some fucking high guy who hosted Fear Factor. not to be disrespectful to him because I like his show, and for the most part, I like Joe Rogan, but I mean, he's not medically qualified to tell you this. So no, it's not because they think that masks are stupid that people are going to die. It's because people are dumb enough to think that a podcast host is the person who should be telling them these things. And that doesn't mean that Joe Rogan shouldn't be able to share that opinion. That's the whole point of having the internet and having free speech and being able to have your own show, is that you can say whatever the fuck you want to. That's the entire point of it. He's allowed to express that opinion. It's not his fault that a lot of American adults are just fucking stupid, right? I mean, I saw a study a long time ago that said that like half of the American population thinks that chocolate milk comes from brown cows. And you think this is a Joe Rogan issue? You think this is a Donald Trump issue? Most people just have no idea about anything around them. Sure, they may have the wrong opinion when it comes down to the medical facts or whatever, but it's not their fault that people are dumb enough to just eat everything they say up to the point that they ignore science. I mean, come on. Trying to cancel Joe Rogan only makes him stronger and more appealing to his base. He literally says the outrageous things that he says to get white liberals to try to cancel him so that he can take even more money to the bank while laughing his ass off, and people play right into it. This isn't true either. I don't understand, like, I get what he's trying to do here, like he's trying to spin this into some odd narrative where it's like, Joe's only trying to profit off you guys, Joe's really only trying to troll you guys into responding. It has nothing to do with it. Joe Rogan does not give a fuck whether or not you have any opinion of him. Man just got a stupid lucrative deal from Spotify to take his podcast over there, worth tens of millions of dollars. Do you think he gives a shit if he's gonna make an extra $2,000 off ad revenue because idiots click on his profile? I mean, this is just a tweet that's coming from somebody who probably has no idea about Joe Rogan or his show and is just saying this because he thinks that this is correct. But I mean, if you have any basic knowledge about Joe Rogan, that ad revenue doesn't mean anything to him. Most of them are probably demonetized in the first place, so yeah, this has nothing to do with money. What it comes down to is he has these opinions, and that's what he actually believes. And yeah, it may be dumb, and I don't agree with everything that Joe Rogan says. Joe Rogan has said some very outrageous shit on his show that I'm just like, that doesn't even make any sense. It's not even a logical, you're just believing in fantasy at that point. But he doesn't care if you try to cancel him, because if you don't cancel him, he's still going to get millions of views a day. He's still going to get a ridiculous viewership. He's still going to be the ideal podcaster. And even if you do try to cancel him, you can't. You cannot cancel Joe Rogan. He has ascended beyond it. He simply has too many viewers who care too much about his podcast, who are willing to tune in at any given time. He's not some 20,000 sub YouTuber. This is one of the biggest entertainment platforms on the planet. I mean, you're simply just not going to shut down anything he has to say. And whether you like it or not, his show has become kind of important to pop culture. I mean, when you're pulling the kind of viewership that he does, that's what comes along with it. I mean, he might not be like Betty White or anything like that, just an icon. But I mean, to pretend like you can just sit there and try and cancel him and he's gonna laugh it to the bank because he trolled you, it's stupid. But then there's tweets like this, and this is just Twitter in general, because 97% of people on Twitter have no fucking clue on how to make a legitimate argument. They just make really ad hominem attacks and just make fun of people's personal life and whatnot, so that's just how it is. I guess this is the time I'm just gonna be like, fuck it, stoop down to this level. But to clarify, Joe Rogan fans are extremely virginal. I wish them the best in their effort to be sexually viable someday. I want to clarify, and I don't mean this in a very disrespectful way, but this is the guy talking about virgins and making fun of people's sexual viability. I mean, obviously, I think he was trying to make jokes here, but yeah. Anyway, I mean, just a very ridiculous point. I get it, right? Like, we're trying to garner some Twitter likes here. We're trying to be funny or whatever. And I mean, you did make the multicolored hair feminists laugh, I'm pretty sure. But I mean, at the end of the day, right? Like, this whole cancellation of Joe Rogan, is it going to go anywhere? No, of course not. It's not going to matter, most likely. Like, the chance that Joe Rogan legitimately gets canceled is so slim. He probably doesn't even know that he's being canceled right now, right? He probably doesn't give a shit. He's probably counting $100 million, right? It's simply not going to happen. Obviously, it's a very outlandish reaction to a pretty goofy statement, I guess. I mean, it's not like what he said was completely correct. I mean, medical professionals definitely recommend that you wear a mask, but to act like he's not allowed to have that opinion, even if, that's not the status quo, is kind of ridiculous. I mean, you don't have to agree with other people to realize that they have the right to have an opinion. And it's weird to like try and blame people dying on Joe Rogan because he said he doesn't want to wear a mask and he doesn't think that they're a necessity or something, right? I mean, this is just how people behave on Twitter. This is the reaction that people are going to give. I mean, anytime something like this happens, I guess, where a difference of opinion is shown or someone says something even minutely controversial, they're like sharks. They're just in the water wading around, just waiting for the opportunity to just strike, man. I don't know, man. I think we all know how this is gonna go. Here in about 13 hours, it'll be off the trending page and something fucking stupid will replace it, and everyone else will now turn their attention to that because, well, it's just Twitter for you. So I feel like in all my videos, right, like the people who don't use Twitter, they kind of just hear what I say about the platform and like the things that are going on, and they're just like, Jesus Christ, that place sucks. Which you're not totally wrong. It is a pretty toxic website, especially when things like this are going on. I mean, this obviously is like not the only thing that really happens over there, but it definitely is a pretty shitty platform. It can be fun and entertaining when people are on there being funny, but whenever something like this is going on, man, and the timeline just lights up, it gets bad. But with all that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel, follow me over on Twitter and Twitch, add sub to Optimus. Make sure to check out Shop Opti down below. Thank you to my channel members. Your support helps my channel tremendously. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus. Wearing a mask when he goes in public, I definitely recommend you do. I mean, that's what the medical professionals recommend. So with that being said, signing out. Okay, I guess there's a horn too.